Hey people, welcome back to another brand new episode of Film Friday. Or should I say Film Saturday? Well, it doesn't matter because films also release on Saturday, so it's okay for me to upload this video on a Saturday because I was busy. So how have you all been? I hope you all have been doing good. Today, since this week the new Batman movie was released starring Robert Pattinson, so I decided to recreate the Batman poster. Now there were many posters of the Batman. You had character poster, you had, the entire cast poster, and you had teaser posters, but out of all these posters, I really like this red rainy poster. I thought this was really cool. So I decided to recreate this poster using the Ben Affleck Batman. Obviously you have that poster with the Robert Pattinson Batman, so I didn't want to use Robert Pattinson. I'm gonna use the Ben Affleck Batman. I think it was a great Batman, so we're gonna use that. This is a really fun tutorial. This is a really fun video, really fun editing process. So I really hope you all enjoy it. Now, without any further ado, let's just get started.
Also, if you like my videos, then please do consider subscribing to my channel to support me. Thank you.
So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to create a new solid color. We are going to come to our adjustments menu and we are going to select solid color. So we are going to use a very dark, brightish gray color. So the hex code for that is D63838. Okay, so press OK, and we have created our background. Let's call this background. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add those. Actually, the first thing, let me just come to my assets folder and let me bring in the original poster. Okay, let's resize this. All right. So if you see, we have bright spots here and then darker spots here, which very bright reddish color. So we're going to create those. All right. So now we'll create our colors. This dark. So let's create a new layer. And let's select our brush. Press B on your keyboard, or you can come here and select your brush. The size is 700. You can go bigger or you can go smaller, however you prefer. The hardness is 0 and the flow is 50%. Okay, so I'm going to choose a very bright red color, maybe a bit darker, EE0000. Press OK. Set the blending mode of your layer to soft light and just, here, just around it wherever you prefer, like this. Before, after, before, after. I think this is okay. For now, this is okay, so that in case later when we create our poster, when we apply our subject, that time we can come back and tweak it a little bit more to make it better. Okay, so yeah. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to add our subject. We're going to come to my assets folder. Let's come to our assets folder and let's drag our subject. So all these images, the links are provided in the description below. So use it freely. I'm just going to maybe scale this down a little. Yeah, I think this much is fine. All right, so now that we have our subject, I'm just going to zoom in here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a selection of the bat symbol on this costume. So I'm just going to bring up my pen selection tool. And I'm going to start from here. And I'm going to create a selection right around the bat symbol. Yeah. I'm going to speed up this part so you don't have to wait for so long. Alright, so now I have created a path around the bat symbol, so I'm just going to press Ctrl Enter to make a selection. I'm just going to press Ctrl J, and I'm just going to call this bat symbol, and I'm going to convert this into smart object by pressing Ctrl Alt right square bracket. So if you want to know how I created a smart object out of that layer using only shortcut keys, you can watch my tutorial on how to speed up your Photoshop editing by 90% with from the link right here. Cool. So now let's just hide our bat symbol and let's come back to our Batfleck PNG, the main subject. Now I'm going to add some adjustments to this. Okay, so next thing, I'm going to add an exposure layer right above. I'm going to bring it above our Batfleck PNG and I'm going to clip it to the subject. And I'm going to just drag the exposure down to maybe negative 1.45 is fine. That's good. And another adjustment layer that I'm going to use is hue and saturation. So let's come to our hue and saturation, and I'm going to drag the saturation down. Sorry, let's clip it. Bring the saturation down to maybe, let's say negative 70. And let's bring the lightness to negative 40. And just press and cool. And another adjustment layer that I'm going to add is curves. So let's come to curves, clip it, and I'm just going to add the S contrast. Yeah, cool. So the next thing what we are going to do is we are going to add those colors, to the red highlights on the subject. So come back to solid color, create a new solid color, and let's give out the color EB0000. All right, and let's clip it to our subject. Okay, and let's change the blend mode of this to soft light. And let's double click on our solid color to bring up our layer styles, blending options, and just come to blend if, choose gray, blend if, and come to underlying layer, and here just drag the underlying slider to somewhere around 60 is fine. Now as you can see, this is very harsh, this is very rough, the transition. So let's press Alt and select on press Alt and click on the left part of the slider, and just detach them and bring it back to 0 so you can create a very smooth transition. Maybe I think 80 is fine. Okay, and just press OK. So now that we have added our highlights, now we have changed the color of our highlights. Next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another adjustment layer, the solid color. I'm going to duplicate the very same solid color by pressing Ctrl J or Command J on the Mac, and I'm going to clip it to my subject by pressing Ctrl Alt G or Command Option G on a Mac. And I'm going to change the color of this to 8E0000. This is a very maroonish color. And I'm going to set the blending mode of this to linear dodge add. And now I'm just going to invert this mask by pressing Ctrl I or Command I. I'm just going to activate my brush tool, reduce the size of the brush, and with white as my foreground color, flow 50%. I'm just going to paint on the sides to add more highlights here. You want those highlights on the side only, nowhere else. So if you see before, after, before, after. Alright, so we are done with our Batfleck layer. I'm just going to press with my top solid color selected, and I'm just going to hold Shift and select the Batfleck PNG, and I'm just going to group them by Ctrl G or Command G, and just rename this to Batfleck. Alright, so now let's do our symbol. Let's unhide our bat symbol. Alright, and I'm going to expand the Batfleck folder, and I'm just going to select the very top highlight color, very top solid color highlights, and I'm just going to press Alt on my keyboard, and I'm going to drag it up above bat symbol to create a duplicate. And I'm going to click on my mask and press Alt backspace to fill it with my foreground color, which is white. And I'm just going to clip it to my bat symbol here, and I'm just going to change the color, maybe brighten it up somewhere around here, D80000. Press OK and double click on your layer to bring up your blending options, and just reduce, just bring the slider a bit back, maybe somewhere around 30 is fine. Yeah, that's cool. All right. So next thing the next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer, clip it to the bat symbol, bring up your brush, select a very dark red color. I think 8E000 is fine. Blending mode of the layer, linear dodge add, maybe 20% flow is fine. And just dab here and there to give it that glow. Maybe erase from the sides. Yeah, I think this looks great. Before, after, before, after. Great. So next I think I'm going to make some more adjustment to my Batfleck PNG. I think I'm going to come to filter, maybe camera raw filter. Let's just add some, let's just make it more dramatic, contour basic. And maybe bring up the exposure. Maybe bring up highlights. Maybe bring down the shadows a little. Maybe add some, yeah, temperature, cold temperature. Some whites, some blacks, some texture, maybe clarity, bunch of dehaze, vibrance, maybe bring down the saturation to -30 and come to detail. Let's increase the sharpening to around 30 is fine. Noise reduction, yeah, okay, maybe 10. And let's just press OK. And as you can see, that made that kind of added some drama a little, maybe. So, you know, even the tiniest changes are very important. All right, so let's collapse our Batfleck folder. We'll come back to that later on. So, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come to this bright red layer, and I'm going to create a new layer above it. Let's name this bright spots. And with white as my foreground color, I'm just going to increase my brush size, maybe dab, maybe a little more, maybe dab here, maybe here, and I'm just going to set this blending mode to soft light. All right, that's cool. And let's come to our background layer, the solid color. Just click on the mask, activate your brush, maybe smaller size brush, black as the foreground color, and just erase these parts to make that shadows. Very, very good. Very, very good. Cool. So we are done with our shadows, and another thing, let's come back to our Batfleck symbol, bat symbol. Let's call this highlights. Yeah, okay, yeah, highlights. And let's create a new layer above it. Let's clip it and brush. This time, no, sorry, don't clip it. Unclip this because we want the glow. We want it to glow all over. So linear dodge add, same dark color, 800000. Press OK, and just dab here and there to kind of make it glow a bit more. All right. So we are mostly done. The next thing, the very important thing, but the next thing that if you see here, the rain is missing. All right, so let's come to our assets folder and let's bring in our rain image. This is right below everything, so let's drag and drop it right above everything. Press Ctrl T on your keyboard to enable the transform controls. Right click, flip horizontal, and maybe rotate it a little. And let's just increase the size of it. Alright, and just press enter on your keyboard or that tick mark right up there. And let's set the blending mode of this to screen. And I'm going to change, so if you see in the original poster, the rain is also a red color, a very reddish rain. So let's just do that. So we're going to use the shortcut Control U or Command U to enable to add the adjustment, use hue and saturation adjustment layer, and click on colorize, hue to 0, saturation to somewhere around 70. Maybe lightness to +5. And here, so if you see before, after, before, after. Alright, now I'm going to add another adjustment layer, Control M or Command M to bring up the curves adjustment layer. Maybe darken the layer up. Alright. Yeah, just a little darkening. And press OK. And let's just come to filter, blur, motion blur. Angle is 70. Distance maybe make it 20. Just press OK. Alright, so we are mostly done. The next thing that if you see here, we have a lot of blurriness here and here, everything is black. So let's add those. Okay. So let's just come to let's expand our Batfleck folder. Select our Batfleck PNG and come to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And just blur this maybe 20 pixels. Press OK. And click on the arrow, drop down arrow on the right side of the layer, and beneath this you see smart filters, and select, it has a mask, so select the mask, activate the mask, and bring up your brush with black as your foreground color, just maybe 50% flow. Just remove some blurring from the top of his part. Maybe remove some blurring from his hand. Great, so if you see, yeah, maybe add some more blurring here. Cool. So I think I'm going to add another adjustment layer. If you see here, the entire thing is black except his face. So let's fix that. Let's come to let's activate our Batfleck PNG, select that, and let's create another exposure layer like right above it, below every other thing, and just decrease the exposure way down to somewhere around maybe negative, let's go with -4, and just, yeah. And enable the mask, activate the mask, brush, black as the foreground color, just a couple of dabs to remove the brush, to remove the exposure, to erase the darkness from his face. Okay, now if you see here, there, here. All right. Maybe just tweak this part, tweak the background a little bit. I think, yeah, this looks great. Okay. All right, so now I'm just going to copy everything. I'm just going to duplicate everything and, merge all the layers above everything. So I can do that by pressing Ctrl, Shift, Alt, and E, or Command, Shift, Option, E on a Mac. And let's just convert this into Smart Object. And we are going to add Camera Raw Filter to this. So let's just come here to Camera Raw Filter. Maybe add some contrast, maybe some highlights. We don't want shadows, maybe darken up shadows, maybe some texture, some clarity, some dehaze is always good. And let's come to detail, some sharpening, some noise reduction, and you're done. If you see before, after, before, after. So the next thing that we are going to add, the final thing that we are going to add, is the Batman logo, of course. So just come to our asset folder, drag and drop our Batman PNG right here, bring it down somewhere around here, and Control M or Command M to just brighten this up. So now if you see, we have created our very own Batfleck poster, the Batman styled. There we go, you are done. So thank you for sticking around till the end. I really hope you enjoyed this video. This was a really fun video for me to do. I really love the Batman, so doing the Batman thing is my favorite, doing the Batman poster especially. So I hope you all learned something new in this video, and if you really liked it, then hit the like button, hit the subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell icon so that you can get notified every time I upload a new video. And I'll see you guys next time. So yeah.